Yum, yum!
Greg here from Pixel Fondue. It is Friday. I have delivered my animation for the day to a client. I was going to make some sort of video for Pixel Fondue today, and I thought I just, I think I'm just going to model something with the direct modeling tools and just sort of essentially stream it. So it's not going to be real tight or polished, and I'll make mistakes and back up and whatever. But honestly, there's not enough of these types of videos for MODO online. Even if you're a really good polygon modeler or sub-D modeler, it's helpful to watch somebody else model. I don't typically model a lot in my production company's work, mostly rig and animate and render products that I get as CAD files. So, got to keep my modeling skills up to speed. So, just going to model today. And I just got done playing Prey again, which I hadn't played for a while. This is a criminally underrated game, by the way, from Arcane. If you like Dishonored or Deus Ex type games, like Prey is awesome. Bioshock type games. Anyway, there's this stun gun. I thought it was really cool. It's kind of a cool design. I thought maybe I'd try to model that. Here's like a headset. It just has all kinds of cool stuff. The design aesthetic in Prey is awesome. And I believe this guy, Yannick Gobayer, I think this is the actual one from the game. So, Yannick, I hope you're okay with me just copying your stuff, just practicing modeling. It won't be anywhere as good as yours, I guarantee it. But like I said, it's good to watch somebody else model and pick up some tips. And there's just not enough of these done in MODO. So I'll put this as a reference off to the side and make something akin to the Prey stun gun. Okay, so here we go. I'll start with this back part here, which is kind of a good place to start maybe. So we'll just call this back part. Always like to name my meshes. I hate it when I see 50 meshes up here all called new mesh. Okay, so why don't I pop open the side and grab a cylinder, and you can either turn on snapping, have symmetry on, turn on snapping, or you can just do what I do and just drag it out. I have it dragged out. It's just following the work plane, right? So I was dragging out on the Z and popping up my mini props. Typically you would have polygons here. I'm going to have it set to none because we're just kind of making a tube. And I'm just going to zero this out so it's in the center. Like I said, you can turn on snapping and just start it from the center, or you can just zero it out later. Either way is just fine. I'm not going to worry about the scale right now so much. We'll just scale it up in the end if we have to, or scale it down, do whatever we need to do. But okay, yeah, something like this, good place to start. And then I think I'm going to hide this throughout for as much as I can. This little circly recycling looking icon, these are all context sensitive buttons here. So if I go to vert mode, it has all the vert tools like edge tools, poly tools. It's really super useful. And I've put it on a pop-up like this. Foundry should really do that, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm just going to work with the pop-up as much as I can. So we'll start off in edge mode, and it's got some sort of panels here. So I'll just grab a couple edges like that, and then I'm going to pop up my context menu, and I'm going to pick edge split, and I'm going to do like a little gap here. So maybe 0.02 or so like that. It's a little too big. Maybe try it again at maybe 0.01 like that. Okay, looks good. Oh, probably put one on the bottom too. I think you have one on the bottom. I think I could just Control R redo. There we go. So I got some gaps, some panel gaps, and then I'll just thicken this thing out in poly mode. So go to thicken and just click and drag. Go in or out. I'll go out. Something like this. We're just creating this sort of very outside edge of this device here. I can just pull it back in. We're just creating this outside edge here. You can kind of see these different gaps there. Oh, it's got a little bit of a bevel there, which I'll put on as well. So it's sort of this layered metal thing. So, okay, so something like this. So I could have beveled it before I thickened it. I can also bevel afterwards, so I can just grab these corner edges here, like so. In fact, I can turn on symmetry to make my life a little easier. Grab some corners. And there, and down here. Whoops, not those. And I'll grab them on this side too. It's nice to be able to turn on multiple symmetries like ZBrush can do, and also have radial symmetry. So I guess this video will be me modeling and complaining about stuff MODO doesn't have. So there you go. Okay, so I could just do like an edge bevel and just drag. And again, right mouse is gonna OmniHaul. OmniHaul is a great addition. Get used to using it. You can just sort of drag and right mouse your sort of bevel there. Oh, looks pretty good. Everything's nice and roundy. Okay, keep going. These had sort of a channel in the middle, so I'll maybe do that next, or maybe I'll do. Actually, I think the bottom maybe had some edges cut out. So I think I'm gonna chop a little section out of the bottom. So symmetry is still on. I'm gonna do a loop. We can do loop slice or add loop. I try to get used to using add loop instead of just loop slice all the time. So I'm gonna put this in something like this. And you'll see these last two are off. And so you're going to see me use this tool a lot. I'm going to select those first, and then I'm going to select the one I want it to align to. And looking at the top, I'm just going to do Control-5, and I'm going to go down. And they're just going to snap into position. This is Cristobal Villa's or Eteria's vertex align. I have it mapped to Control-5. I have a whole video on this on Pixel Fondue. It's like the best modeling kit ever. It's free. You can do all kinds of aligning, but mostly you could just go left, right, up, down, vertical, horizontal, and it's just super fast. So if I want to do like what I just did, it's just really fast at doing it. I'm going to middle mouse these guys and delete it. And then I think there's a way I can just double click these, unclick, unselect those. I think I can bridge it. And I can. And then I'll just go back and select these and round those out again with a bevel like so. Looks good. I don't remember what I did initially, but something like that. In fact, I don't think I want those back ones. I think I just want these beveled. And I'm not going to do a million edge bevels on this. Maybe I will towards the end. But there's a couple ways to do this. You can do a million edge bevels, or you can do bake like a beveled or like a rounded edge shader. And there is a video on Pixel Fondue on how to do that. So let me just look through my camera here and kind of push in here. So you see these edges, right? And then I'm gonna turn off that light so you don't see that weird shadow. And then if I go to the shader and the base shader here and down at the bottom, you'll see like a rounded edge width. Go like 0.01 or something, and you can see that's way too big, like 0.03 maybe. And you can see that that little rounded edge there. So I go back to 0, sharp, 0.01 or 0.02 rounded. So that's one way to do. You could bake those later, or you could do a million little micro bevels, or you could do sub Ds. I'll just sort of tackle that later, though. I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm just going to block out my shapes. So, okay, something like this looks good, I think. We're getting there. And if I really want to get a little bit picky here, I'm going to line these up as well. So, again, using my little Eteria script. All right, looking good, I think. So, yeah, so let me just keep moving on. I think we've got sort of so I'm just going to do another cylinder. My settings from the last one should still be in there, actually. And so if you can just kind of see them in here. In fact, I could just leave them and hit apply, and it's going to remake that. Actually, I wouldn't mind having faces this time, so I'll do my caps there as single polygons. And then hit apply, and there we go. And it's not connected to anything, so I can just double click it and sort of turn off symmetry here and just sort of scooch it on down. And I'm just creating this inner part here. There's a slight gap between them. And I'll, just sort of scale it and move it. Like so. And then I'm going to select the front and the back, and I'm going to hit B for bevel, and then drag to the right a little bit to get a little bit of a bevel there. And then I'm going to bridge these 2 points together. And I've got just need one there. So you can right-click bridge, just like bevel and everything else will give you right-click and drag left, right will give you edges. We just need one. So there we go. So now we have sort of an inner ring there, which is kind of cool looking. And I think there's just some extra detail on these things here. So I'll use edge slice to get some extra detail. So Alt-C edge slice, or you can also find it under here, edge loop slice, I mean. I'm just going to collapse this. It's Alt-C, that's loop slice, and then you can right mouse drag again for as many loops as you want. So you can have a bunch or a few or whatever. I just want 2, and then I'm going to pop up mini props, not 3, 2, pop up mini props, and set this to symmetry, and that way I can just drag left and right to get it kind of where I want. I'm just making a channel through the middle of these, so loop select the channel, and again bevel, and then push up or down just to kind of get it going in a little bit. So just adding some additional detail on the back of this, and then yeah, I think just kind of keep going. So we turn on my grid, and from about halfway, again, we just turn on symmetry. It's got a sort of a halfway across this. It just has another sort of layer on here. So this is kind of interesting. What I can do is, you know, if I press, I'm going to turn off symmetry now. If I press W for move and hold Shift Control, I can copy like that. I just copied those. Okay, so let me just Control Z undo that. But that actually works with all transforms. You can either rotate and scale. So I can go R for scale, hold Shift Control, and just drag in a little bit. I just copied those. I just inset and copied those polygons in just a little bit, right? And so I can F to flip them, and then I can just, you know, grab the bottom edge there and the bottom edge over here, and bridge those two together, and kind of see what I'm doing. Then double click this front face, hit P, and double click the back, and hit P. And so just sort of making geometry out of existing geometry, right? That's sort of a typical thing you see in MODO. Actually, I didn't really want to do that, so let me undo those two. It's got a little something else going on there. I actually want to, I think I want to thicken this rather. So thicken. And thicken down, kind of like this. In fact, I think in quite a bit. And then he puts another channel in here. So let's add a loop. And again, I do Alt-Shift-C. I don't think it's mapped to a... Add loop is mapped to a keyboard shortcut by default MODO, so you may have to do that yourself. But yeah, something like this, I think, and then just hold Shift and make another one here. In fact, let's turn on symmetry and then make another one here. So it's on both sides. And then we're just gonna do this part. Whoops, let's make one more actually. So Shift C, just adding like another channel kind of right here, but not, we're keeping an edge there. So again, I can just, you can do Boolean, you can do bevel, or you can do thicken. I just do bevel because it has a keyboard shortcut. Just go down. Something like this. And again, like normally, again, you can go in here, we've got all these selected, right? One thing you can do is just hold Control, select the boundary, hit B again for edge bevel, and get a nice little bevel on the boundary there. That's something you do in MODO all the time. I'm not going to do, like I said, I'm not going to do a ton of that on this, just to kind of keep the geometry a little bit light. But yeah, you can totally just like hit like a loop. In fact, a better way to do that maybe is to, let me just undo it. Instead of that, is just grab these, hit loop, and then boundary, and now I can bevel the top and bottom at the same time, right? So I can sort of bevel like that. And you're going to get these, right? So, actually, I wonder if chamfer sometimes does a better job than edge bevel. It's sort of improved edge bevel, but it's, it operates differently in some circumstances. So yeah, see how that didn't get that radial thing there? This is more what I wanted, chamfer. Like that. So good enough, I think. So, and also this, we'll just do some different materials here. We'll just call this like a black plastic. I really want a drop down here, a preset drop down to get to material presets from here. Just hold Shift and you can drag all these brightness at once. If you remember, Shift is it'll drag them all left, right. But you can also, like, if this is a color, if I hold Control, I can change the hue. Hold Alt, I can change the saturation, just desaturate it and go back to Shift and black. So those are really good keyboard shortcuts to know. That sort of shortcut I'm talking about is just using, and again, there's a whole other MODO or Pixel Fondue tutorial for this. Just look at like presets. But there's all these presets. I have quite a few of them on here. Just I've got like these basic plastic, basic metal, basic glass. Like I've got basic glass preset on here. I really wish we could get that just on pressing M. We could just pick that basic sort of material type preset from there. But anyway, so okay, this is looking kind of good. I'm just gonna keep on keeping on here. So looks like we've got another cylinder piece in the middle. So maybe I'll just go back to my cylinder I had made earlier. And again, I'm just gonna hit apply and bring this in instead of drawing it out. And hitting apply, so it already has 64 sides set up and everything else. It's just, you can do it however you want. Like, to me, it's just as fast just to hit apply and put it in there and just, sort of drag it out this way versus dragging it out new. But, do it however you want. So I'm just going to move this guy up, make this kind of thin. And so this one does have a pretty good edge bevel on it. So again, I have actually, instead of holding control and selecting boundary, I have that map to Control Shift 2, and it's just going to select the boundary that way. And then I hit B for bevel. And again, edge bevel and chamfer are going to give us a little bit different things here. Chamfer tends to do better around corners and things like that. Edge bevel is fine for something like this. So get a nice little edge bevel in here. Now here we've got this ingon, and there's a couple ways you can deal with it. There's a script. I wish there was a built-in MODO way to make this all quads. If you're one of those obsessive all quads people, you can use a kit, again by Cristobal Villa, that is called the Swiss Army kit, I believe, and you just have to make sure your polygon selected, your mesh item selected. You can click it and turn this thing into quads with this little button right here. Or you could just spike it in the middle and have tries, or you can just have nothing. So there, it's all quads. Looks pretty good. Sometimes I'll do this: is I'll just hit bevel and I'll just sort of squish it in a little bit, even if can hold shift and click and bevel a couple times just to make that quad one a little bit smaller like this, and then go all quads, something like that. And I tend to like quads because I'll often sub-D things. Again, I'm not generally spitting stuff out to games. I generally go to video, so I work in sub-Ds a lot. But anyway, there we go. If you are going to sub-D this, you're going to want to add that's going to look all goofy on the other end because you're going to need quads on the other end. So we'll just do that real quick. Let me just unsub-D that. Click this guy, and we'll just, do this again. And we got quads. Actually, what I should have done, so let me, no, that's fine. I'll just do that. And let me just, we've got this one corner here, and I'm just going to edge bevel this and get that sort of nice and not too many, but maybe 3 or 4, maybe. I don't know. Something like that. Okay, looking good. I like it. And so that's sort of the main piece here. And interestingly, oh, okay, so he's got this, the way that he made this, it's really not, sort of interestingly not symmetrical. So I'm going to switch up some things here a little bit. Let me get this bottom part down, though. So let me select some of these guys. I'll just turn on symmetry like this, and I'm going to get these guys to come through the bottom. Looks like I've got a couple. I got to make a hole in this one too, though, don't I? So let me clear out this. So I also put all the locking stuff up here on my shelf. So all these under edit, we've got a lot of lock selected, unlock, and lock invert. I just made them buttons up on my shelf. I should probably release those and give them icons. So I can like double click this, and I can like lock unselected. And you see how those turn green? So those are locked now. Then I could just have the symmetry on. I can just pick these and not worry about, or just middle mouse drag and not worry about grabbing stuff under it. Delete those out, and I'll probably just make these polys for now. I can make them quads later if I want. But so those are locked. Oops, I locked the bottom one. Didn't want to lock the bottom one. So unlock these. Get rid of these guys, right? Yeah. Okay. Looking sweet. Now I can grab. Go back up here and grab these guys, and maybe do an extrude. If you do a bevel, if I hit B bevel and just start going down, you'll see it starts flaring out. Actually, just sort of works out really well. Maybe I'll keep it. If you don't want to do that flare like that bevel gives you, I'm pretty sure extrude will keep it on the straight and narrow there like that. So actually, instead of doing this, I think I'll grab one more and then I'll do an extrude like that. Yeah, so just extrude it. Not that way, this way. Okay. And again, the bottom, it's sort of, you know, I can use my script again just to sort of have them go all up and get it all nice and flat if I want to. You know, we'll see. I'll just deal with this one a little bit later. I may smooth this out just a little bit here. This may look a little weird, though. I never like these things. Maybe I'll just triple them. Like so, get that sort of fan triple. That's not terrible, is it? Okay, good enough. Good enough for a demo. And then, yeah, I was gonna make this not so symmetrical. He's got this, these guys here. So why don't I just make them and then I'll chop into this later. So I'm gonna turn off symmetry. Just gonna make a couple flanges here. Actually, let me do a loop slice because I really just want like these guys for a flange. I'm gonna bevel this one, and I'm okay with it sort of flaring out like that. That's pretty good. Actually, I don't want it above that lip though, so let's do this. Let's add one more loop slice like this, and then I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna select that. And I'm just going to make sure they're the same distance apart, right? So I want these to move towards the top of the screen a little bit. This may be a little bit hard for you to see, but I'm just aligning. I'm using those scripts, that single script to align these loops with this loop on Z. So then when I grab these guys and bevel and pull it out, it's all sort of nice and lined up. If I well, it's lined up to the outer one, not the inner one. So I should have lined it up to the inner one. So let's redo because we're not on a schedule here. We want it lined up to this one. Go up, and then we want it to go up like that. Okay, now it should be aligned. And now when I grab those guys and polygon bevel with the B, it should be aligned there. Yeah, looks pretty good, nice and aligned. Okay, I like it. So something like this. And then if you want to, actually what I should do instead of beveling these is do a bridge operation. So let's do this. That's good. So let's add a loop here. Okay, like this edge loop here. And then I want this to be lined up with this one, right? So I'll go to wireframe so you guys can see what's going on. I want the big orange to be lined up with the little orange. So I just go like that. So those are nice and aligned. Go back to advanced. And then I can grab these, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And actually, when I just reselect 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I should just be able to bridge these guys. Except I don't want these 4. I want 1, 2, 3, 4 narrow ones, and I just want to bridge them. And so, yep, just do a bridge. And then if you want to add, whoops, looks like sometimes you lose your default hauling. Just load default hauling, you'll get those little icons back, and then you can add my curves here, or my segments. And here's something I really want from MODO. Now, you see there's a little bit of a shape here because this is set to curve. You can set it to smooth like that, or you can set it to linear. I would like to be able to draw that profile as a little graph like we have for for fall offs or for shading. Just a little MODO graph. We can just draw the fall off or draw the curvature of our bridge. That's we should be able to do that with bevel. We should be able to do it with bridge. We should be able to do it with extrude. It would affect so many tools. It's really one of my, I think, sort of number one feature requests. I really need to get this over to Foundry, right? So I suppose if you want, we can do some more of these sort of flares here. There's probably better ways to do this, but we can go like that if you want. no problem. And we'll just triangulate our little n-gons there. So here it did a little bit different over there. That's interesting. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. That's cool. We'll triangulate these guys. And then we'll have to see. You don't have to triangulate. Just Shift T. This is very much me just being me and not liking this. In fact, if this is an ugly mess of a triangle, which it kind of is, that's a triangle. That's kind of ugly. I don't really like that. This is where I would go in and start doing some cutting, like whoops, where I may go in and do some edge cuts and really just get the topology the way I wanted it, but I just don't feel like it. I'm just going to leave it for now. I'm just going to move on. Going to move on. Going to move on. Going to do it live. Okay, so let's make another one of these guys over here. Now I just have to, I can grab this guy. I'm just going to hide it, and we're going to adjust it later. Here, I'm just going to grab a little more this time. I'm going to grab, again, it's sort of asymmetrical. That's what I like about it. So something like this maybe. So that is 8 polygons. So let's grab 8 over here. 2, top arrow up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 total. I know it's hard to see, but you can count them down here in the corner. So something like this. Hopefully this is going to look okay. Yeah, okay. I think that looks okay. Yeah. Yeah, we could do a little more beveling here if we want. I didn't exactly. So our last bevel, actually, again, this is nice in MODO, is like our last bevel parameters should be in there without me. Is that just one? It's kind of weird. Yeah, there we go. So I could just hit, so I should just be able to activate bevel and then hit apply. But it is grayed out for some reason, so maybe not. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and bevel like we did the last one, something like that. I was hoping I'd just be able to hit apply and get the exact same settings, but alas, I do not. So I'll bevel these, and then I'll do my triangulation just because I don't want to see bad polys, right? Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Looks good. Okay. U for unhide. We've got a little bit of an issue with this black thing overlapping, so let's see if I can just loop. Okay, looks like I can just loop that, so let me just grab these, loop, delete that. Unhide. Press 4 for material selection to grab those materials, then Alt 3 to change that. So 4, material selection, and then Alt 3 to change that selection to polygons, and Shift H to hide everything. Did I miss? Yeah, okay, that looks good. So I can just delete these and close up our gap here. I think I'll just make that a polygon for now. And again, like normally I would go through, and here you can, let me just go to reflection mode real quick so you can see this a little bit better. Normally I would go through and do like a G for edge cut and, you know, cut these up so we'd have a quad there and stuff like that, but I'm just not gonna do that a ton for this one. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's fine. So we're gonna move on. And then we're gonna U for unhide, and then yeah, looks all right. Got a gap. Looks okay. There's the back. Okay, and then what do we got here? We got that black thing done. It's got a little bit of a deeper channel than mine, but that's all right. Oh, there's just sort of a back plate to that. Okay, there's sort of a back plate to this back part, which I'll get to. So we'll just do sort of another, just a cylinder, which will make sort of a back plate. So I'll just go to my original cylinder. Again, settings are already there, so I'll just hit apply, and then I'm gonna double click, and I'm going to do a little bit of use of tool handles to squish this down a little bit. This is just sort of our back plate. Maybe there. Grab that front polygon and move it up. Not quite so it's going by the blacker part, but just kind of behind it. Like so. And let's give this just some detail. So I've got this front polygon. Let me just double click and hide everything else. This is just a cylinder in there, so we can do a little edge bevel on this back there. So you see the little edge bevel, and on the front, I'm just gonna add some detail in here. I'm gonna do that by hitting B for bevel and just creating some loops. So shift click, reset the tool, get another bevel, shift click, reset the tool, get another bevel, shift click, reset the tool, get another bevel. If we want to turn that middle part into quads, we can do that with our kit. Again, this really needs to be a MODO. MODO needs to be better at filling holes with quads. It just needs a really good sort of marginally intelligent tool to do that. I mean, there's just no other way to say that. It just really needs it. So here's what I did. You can see it. But I'm just going to use these little channels here to create some extra detail. So I'm just going to go in a little bit here, just some layers of detail, I guess. And again, we can grab both these loops here, and then select the boundaries and do a little. Again, I think I like chamfer on these a little bit better. I don't think it actually matters with these complete loops. It's not going around a corner, but we'll use chamfer. I really think chamfer needs to get to the point where it just replaces edge bevel completely. But we'll see. Something like that. Maybe one more here. Could push it up. I'm gonna push this one up or down. We'll push this one up. Don't want any inset. Just shift and then double click this inner one, bevel a little bit. So we're just getting detail. Just getting detail. It actually helps to have. I tend to model with hybrid ambient occlusion on, and I do like the environment background and the scene plus environment lighting of the advanced viewport. So you get a little bit of environment lighting. So if I go over here to my environments, I always have some presets here. Again, there's the preset video if you haven't seen it. So I can go to like a pastel gradient or something. I can just get a little bit of that color on there. I believe the next version of MODO will let you use environment plus default viewport lighting, which is will be the best of all worlds. So can't wait for that to come out. Should be the last 16 should have that, I believe. So we'll just go back to my sky gradient here. Turn my directional light back on. So that black thing you get is the advanced viewport compiling shaders. That's just a general GPU thing that needs to be better. This is what all the stuttering on all these games, like Callisto Protocol just came out, and I know Elden Ring had it, just tons of stuttering, like a GPU shader compilation, and wrong way there on my camera. And that's what you're seeing in advanced viewport when it turns black. Now I've totally screwed this up. Is just compiling shaders. Anyway, this is looking interesting. We just got a couple new materials in here just to liven it up a little bit. This has actually this whole little part sticking out here I kind of like, so why don't I fix that? So I'm just going to grab that, I believe, what is the select close? I believe it's shift bracket. Yeah, that's what it is. I believe it's called select close loop. Oh, here it is, close loop. Except I don't want that. Maybe I have to go this way. Select close loop. Nope, it's just not giving me what I want. I want to select this loop, but that's fine. We just do this. Arrow up with the shift. We'll just go back down. And then let's bevel this whole thing out like so. And then I'm actually going to shrink down this middle part a little bit to give my outside edge more room to sort of bevel like this. And then we'll just grow it out. I think I'm going to actually Control X, cut it, Control V. Okay, maybe I did. Let me hide everything else and then just fill the back here. I'm just going to make this sort of a separate piece like this. I should just keep this open for a little bit. Oh, it's taking a while to calculate those quads. Okay, unhide. Hide this guy. This, in fact, instead of... This is kind of interesting. Let me hide everything. This might be more interesting if I select this ring here and then do an edge extend, which is Z. And then it doesn't pop up the tool handle automatically with edge extend. So if you right click, you'll get that tool handle and just drag down the edge extend like that. And then we'll hit P for this guy, and then we'll turn that into a quad. Edge extend, I think it's a bug. Like, you can do auto activate in the tool pipe, and it just never sticks. So let me just bevel these two corners just a little bit, a little rounded edge there, and then I'm going to unhide, and I've got this piece now, and I'm just going to shrink it a little bit so there's just a gap, and then I'm going to give this just basic metal color. So hit OK. And then over in my shader tree, I'm just going to use those presets that I tend to use, where I've got a shader tree. I've got my basic metal one here, and I just have my basic metal preset there. And you can see it's kind of shiny. And maybe just turn that down a little bit and up the roughness a little bit, maybe. Okay, looking like metal. Okay, there we go, different material. And maybe this inner guy here I'll also make metal, just to get it. Again, with the materials, you get that sort of layered appearance is accentuated with different materials. And so we've got all these different sort of layers of detail sort of going on here. And it just looks better with additional materials. In fact, let me just make this specular a little more blue, a little more metallic like that. Yeah, okay. I don't really have an HDR in the scene to really pop that metal, but you get the idea. It's metal. Like that. Okay. Yeah. Should we keep going? I don't know. I feel like I've been going a long time. I'm going to stop right now and check the time. And maybe we'll just continue this, or maybe I'll put this up, and then we'll just continue this in another episode.
Yum, yum!